Hi ladies, welcome to Becoming Self-Made. And my Adelante ladies, I want to say hello to you. And I'm excited today because I'm talking to one of my friends, Nathalie Molina Nino, who just wrote a book, Leapfrog. You're going to hear all about it. It's for women entrepreneurs. It's an extraordinary book. I loved it. I learned so much. And I'm very excited about it. I want to thank Coca-Cola and the 5x20 initiative to empower 5 million women by the year 2020. And we here at Becoming Self-Made and Adelante are part of a worldwide initiative. And I thank you, Coke, for being with me from the beginning. Let me tell you who Nathalie Molina Nino is. She is the CEO and founder of Brava Investments, investing in high growth, innovative businesses that deliver a measurable economic benefit to women. She's a technologist and a coder by training. She's an engineer. Nathalie Molina Nino is also the co-founder of Entrepreneurs at Athena at the Athena Center for Leadership Studies of Barnard College at Columbia University. She is someone who is a serial entrepreneur, and she most recently led the launch of my book, the New York Times bestselling book, Self-Made. I am so proud of her. I'm all here about women helping other women. I love that, sometimes we have to see it to be it. Nathalie helped me do my book, and I'm so proud of her that she's now got her own book, Leapfrog. Let's meet Nathalie Molina Nino. I want to welcome my dear friend, Nathalie Molina Nino. I'm so freaking proud of you. I mean, as you all know, Nathalie helped me from the very beginning with Self-Made. I really believe in Latinas writing books. We all have to help each other because we need multicultural women to write books and to write books about money and power and get them out there. And you have written a doozy, my friend. I read this book in one sitting, Leapfrog, the new revolution for women entrepreneurs. Outsmart the status quo, launch, fund, and grow your business. It's an amazing book.
Thank you.
I felt like I learned so much. And we've worked together so much that I didn't think you had any more secrets from me, but you really did. I just think this book is so special because it really made me see even how I have been doing things the hard way versus the smart way. That's what I got out of your book.
Right.
How can we do things smarter, not harder, ladies?
Yep. Thank you for the inspiration, Nellie.
No, I mean,
you saw it all.
You know what's
throughout.
good? You know what I think is good too? You saw me do it.
Yeah.
And you helped me do it,
Yep.
and now you do it. And that's what we need to do. We have to see it and then be it and keep doing it better and better and better.
And lift the next ones up.
The next one. And I'm just so proud of you. So first of all, I have to say that we have to start with your story in the intro about your abuelita. And the story of what your abuelita said to you that really inspired this book. You have to tell the women because it really touched me.
Of course. So, and it's one of those stories like anything. I mean, my family is a matriarchal family, and so grandmother's voice, grandmother's opinion is the most important thing in the world, right? So when I was 7 or 8 years old, my grandmother, who brought my family to the United States and started as a seamstress in the sweatshops of Los Angeles, she used to stay up late at night working. She had her 10-hour day, and then she would come home and work even more. And one night, I remember I was 7 or 8 years old, and I asked my grandmother if she would teach me to sew. She was making these beautiful
You're a bigger person
things.
than I am because that's hard.
Yeah.
But yes, you did.
I mean, and she was a master seamstress. She would make wedding dresses and like beautiful things that what little girl doesn't want to do that, right? And for me, it was a simple, straightforward question, right? And I remember that my grandmother stopped doing what she was doing. She turned off the machine. She shifted her weight. She moved her entire chair over to me. It's like I had insulted her or something. Like I knew I was in trouble. And she said to me in Spanish, "I will not teach you to sew because you will never make a living with your hands."
Yeah, and I relate to that because we saw our mothers and our grandmothers cook and do all of these things with their hands, and I think we all learned from them that we wanted a different life.
Yeah, and it's tough because now as an adult and the hindsight and the experience, I know that she didn't mean that working with your hands was not honorable work, right? Honorable work oftentimes involves working with your hands, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I was hearing her and what I understand now that she meant was just that you will work in a different way than I did. You will work smart, not hard, right? The way that she had to.
And so many of us, no matter what, we still are working hard, not smart. I just want to give a little backstory because I did the intro about you, but I don't think a lot of people know you're now running Brava, which is an incredible organization that funds entrepreneurs. But before that, I think it's important to say, you started out as an engineer. How many Latinas are engineers? And you're a serial entrepreneur, and you started, as I say, not grandiose companies. And you say that in the book, that you started little by little, like so many of us. Like, I want women to hear, again, another example of a woman. We're not actresses, we're not athletes, we're not singers. We are step-by-step people that get there and get there quickly. And you are showing me how to get there even quicker. So I wanted you to explain to everybody, the book is called Leapfrog. What does it mean? Can you define Leapfrog?
So remember, I'm a technology startup founder, right? So that's my world. And so in the world of tech, we often refer to the leapfrog in technology as something that we all know. Like, in my experience, you go to Ecuador, where half of my family is from, and you see a farmer who maybe never had a landline in their house, right? But today, they're walking around with 2 smartphones in their pockets, right? So they skipped what we have determined is that natural evolution. They don't care what the proper steps were. They just skipped all these steps and they moved forward. They leapt right over the obstacles and the traditional sort of status quo into whatever the latest, greatest technology is. And so the goal in tech is to leapfrog technology, and I'm applying that idea to our lives. We should be taking shortcuts, leapfrogging over obstacles. That's our job. If we don't and we continue at the pace that we're at, we're never going to get there.
So the world is moving quick and we better step it up. And is that what you mean by a leapfrogger in the book?
Yeah, it's people who basically said, I know this is the status quo and you're supposed to do 1 before you do 2, then before you do 3. And they're saying, I don't care about that. I don't care about the rules. I'm doing it my way. I'm skipping steps.
So let me ask a question. Is that like when I say the whole thing about in my childhood where I said to the nuns, you know, when they accused me of plagiarism, and I just kind of went above, and then I went to 17 magazine and I skipped high school.
Yes, wait, hang on a second now. You got yourself, excused out of high school so you could go to one of the best colleges in the country and then start an amazing career,
well, that's
right?
True,
that's
true.
The thing. I mean, you leapt over obstacles and, you know, the circumscribed steps that you were supposed to follow, you said, no, I'm not following those rules. I'm making up my own, right?
And that's important for our women to hear because so many multicultural women, you know, I have to say, I've met this year, not just Latinas, but so many women from India who are crushing it and are afraid to change and speak up and change the status quo. From China, right? Women from the Middle East. I want you all to hear this. I always want to mention all of you because I can't believe all of you are here and you don't, you know, you want to talk about all these things. You guys are crushing it. And yet we're still afraid to make moves, right?
There is a study from the World Economic Forum that says that if we continue at the pace that we're going today, in all the work that we do to advance the cause of women, we will get to gender parity in 170 years.
What?
170 years. So that's kind of where this is coming from. The idea of, it's not a nice to have for us to leapfrog. It's not a nice to have for us to find faster, better ways of getting places. It's our job. And if it helps women, it's our job for the next generation to shrink that 170 years. And the only way to do that is to leapfrog.
I love that. And you talk a lot, the whole book talks about hacks. Now, those of us that are not in tech don't understand that word. So what does that mean?
So a hack can be done for good or for bad, right? You can have a hacker go into your computer and...
It just happened to me. I just got hacked. So is that what that means?
Yes, in a bad way, right? Somebody hacks into your system, they steal your passwords, they steal your money. But there's also white hat hackers who get paid to go into the banks and see where there are security breaches, right? And so the idea with a hack, and maybe the more colloquial use, is people talk about life hacks, right? Ways to get more accomplished in less time, ways to circumvent the system, hacking your way through frequent flyer miles and making the most out of them, right? That's the spirit of a hack. It's finding a more efficient, faster, cheaper, better way of getting anything done, basically.
So you say in the book that we shouldn't be afraid to hack.
No.
Just do it.
Well, more than we shouldn't be afraid, like I was saying, you know, the thing maybe to keep in mind is that 170 years. It's not even that we shouldn't be afraid.
So we have to do it.
It's our responsibility. We should have a sense of urgency, a fire under our butts saying, It's my job, especially if I'm a mother, especially if I have people that I care about that are the next generation coming forward. It's my job to lay the groundwork for that next generation.
Well, and also the truth is we live in a country that doesn't reward being quiet and being, we have to we have to change the rules up.
And that's the thing is anybody with power, influence, capital, in this country or in any other country, found a hack to get there. And in some cases, they inherited the hack. Maybe they had a trust fund. Maybe they had an influential mommy and daddy. Whatever. I'm not here to judge or say this is a good hack or this is a bad hack. What I'm saying is that anybody who got anywhere got there because of a hack, even if it was one they inherited. So we are no different than anybody else. Why shouldn't we have our own?
So you say some things in the book that I thought were very wonderful. One is that impatience is a virtue. So that it's okay to be, oh my God, why is this taking so long? And that should push you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, and again, I think that we have been patient for long enough, right?
Long enough. Time's up.
Time's up.
Okay, and you said there's a problem with most of the advice we get given as women.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite hacks got bleeped by the publisher, which is fair enough, but it's bleep your friends and family round. Right?
Yeah.
Because in every business book that you will buy, there are circumscribed names for every round of funding, for example, right? And so that very first round of funding is called the friends and family round. And then the second one is called the seed round. And then the third one is called your Series A and Series B and all down the alphabet. These are just the names that have become standard in the industry to use. And the idea that we're calling something the friends and family round when we know damn well, when you look at the statistics of the financial stability of most families in this country, most people don't have friends and family that can write a $100,000 check to fund their business.
Certainly not people of color.
So we've called something, the friends and family round, something that only applies to a tiny percentage of the population.
White men, rich white men.
And so I have a problem with that terminology. From the very beginning, we have a mindset that excludes the majority of the population. And so in that sense, it's very different from your typical business
So we almost
book.
have to X sort of the things that were written for all those people. We're different people.
And we have to demystify because the story of the, startup that started in a garage and all by themselves, it fails to mention that kid in the garage had a trust fund. Most of the startups in the United States that have been popularized and are on the covers of magazines are started by people with trust funds. Yeah. With people with rich family members.
Yeah, slumming is working in their multi-million-dollar garage.
Completely, with a safety net, with savings account, with all the things that most people don't have. And so in that sense, it's a more real and I would say practical reality, or in a book that's based on what most people are coming to the table with, right? Which is still richness. Just because you don't have rich parents and a trust fund doesn't mean you don't have a lot to bring forward. It's just different, and that's what the book is about.
So you say in the book, which I want you to explain, we favor outcomes versus optics. What does that mean?
So think about where we are right now, right? With all of the talk of it's important to invest in women, and Melinda Gates just funded a whole fund that focuses on investing in women. Wharton did a study recently called Project Sage, which I love, and in that study they took inventory of all the funds that focus on women entrepreneurs. There's over 50 of them now, right? So all of this talk, all of these headlines, all of these covers of magazines talking about how there's this wave of people investing in women. It's just headlines. Turns out, last year, 5% of all venture capital went to women entrepreneurs. This year, it's 3%.
So it gets worse.
It's actually, we're giving it lip service. We're talking about it in the media.
It's fake news.
It's fake news. And what I'm saying is that I want to focus on outcomes. I don't want to focus on, the optics, essentially, of something that looks like it's good for women or something like like it's moving the dial. If we're not moving the dial, I want us to focus on things that really, really, truly make an impact, and like my company, that put money in your pocket.
I thought one of the great things about your book is you set a real architecture for how to get started. You talk about ready, set, go, fund, and grow. Yep. So let's try to focus on ready, because I thought you said some things in ready that kind of have to, your mindset has to get right. Right. We've talked about this a lot. I talked about this a lot in Self-Made. Your mind has to be right, because this is a very difficult journey. It's not easy. Even with hacks, it's not easy.
Yep.
And you talk, I love this line that you wrote, don't mourn, organize.
Yep.
What does that mean?
I mean, it means that, it's very similar to what you talk about, right? Where your
pain is your brand.
Is your brand, right? And it's that idea that we focus potentially, any of us, right? You have a life experience and you spend a lot of time deciding this is what went wrong and these are the sort of systemic barriers in society that are keeping this from happening, not just to me, but my community. And all of those things are true, but that energy has to be channeled into action, right? And so what the kids are doing, right, from Parkland in Florida.
Oh, yes.
Right? It's not to say that there's something wrong with mourning. Mm-mm. And it's not to say that that's not as a psychologist, an important part of the process, but it is about saying we can take that energy and we can channel it into something real and something that
into action.
Yeah, into
look at what you're
action.
Right. Those kids. I mean, they went and really, and it had happened so many times before, and yet those kids said enough.
Completely.
So that is incredible, and something we talk about a lot. So I think we have to keep hearing it. I realize too that when we talk about these things that are very difficult for women, we have to keep saying them over and over and over again. And you're right, there are now these real life examples. You say in the book, forget getting to yes, get to no.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So I was asked to give a speech in Puerto Rico, and I showed up with my speech, and it was based on the book called Getting to Yes, right? It was a speech about negotiation. And I came in ready to give the speech that was sort of in homage to this very classical book. And I arrived, and Sotomayor was there speaking right before me, I found out. And so I realized I had this mediocre speech that was following somebody else's book and somebody else's idea of what negotiation meant, and I threw it out the window. And the night before, I wrote a whole other speech, and it's basically about getting to know. Because my premise was, we as women have been getting to yes for generations. We have been saying yes to all sorts of things that are unjust, that have no business being in our lives, and we've been either explicitly or not explicitly saying, this is okay. It's okay to get paid 55 cents on the dollar as Latinas. It's okay to do the majority of the housework. It's okay to have people talk about what we're wearing instead of what we're doing, right? We say yes.
And it's okay to do the jobs for men and let them take the credit and we just take it, like that's normal.
And so what I said is the last thing we need is a book telling us that negotiation is about getting to yes, when we are masters at getting to yes. We've been saying yes for decades. It's actually time for us to exercise our no muscle. No to doing the majority of the housework. No to getting paid less for the same work. No to all the injustices that we see around us. And if anything, the no muscle is the one that we have to exercise.
I love that. I just love that. Okay, this line really got to me. Forget passion. I don't know, Latinas, we can't forget. Find things you want to punch. I kind of love that because I've been wanting to box. Yeah. What does that mean?
That's so inspired by your book. And the part where you were like, what do you say? You call BS on finding your passion.
Oh my God. Follow your bliss and the money will come. BS, BS, BS. Yes. That's a lie. Not necessarily.
So this is in some way a nod to that and inspired by that, because this idea of, when you come up with a really good business idea, there's a phrase called people buy the cure, not the vitamin, right? And so it means that you better be solving in your business something that is a clear problem that is more than just like a little itch I can't scratch. It better be bothering the hell out of somebody, and why not you?
Yeah.
So find that thing that like you want to punch in the face. It bugs you so much. And it doesn't have to be big and lofty like racism, I mean, it can be, but it can also be really small and tactical. This little thing that just drives me absolutely insane about my phone. Well, find a solution. And guess what? It's going to be something that other people probably want to punch in the face.
Well, and also I think you and I've talked about this before, that we tend to think, oh, I love this. It's my mission, blah, blah, blah. But are you even good at it? Like, what are you really good at?
Yeah.
And like, what's the problem you're solving?
Yep.
And so a lot of it is, I think that we've been entitled. I just went to China and I realized, we have been living in this first world entitlement, and all of us that come from other countries know that you don't have the privilege of just doing things that, I don't know, I think I want to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
No, what is concrete that you're good at and that solves a problem?
Solve a real problem. A problem that, again, if you feel it in your bones, if when I say, is this something that you feel like you want to punch? This feels like that problem, then you've landed on something that not just you, but probably other people feel too, right?
Okay, you say climb into bed with your customer. That sounded very you, may I say. What the heck does that mean? Okay,
so again, going back to, this is not, your typical business advice, but it's also really solid business advice that's based on real data. Remember, I'm Latina and I've got, my quirks, but I'm also an engineer, right? And the data shows this. Most entrepreneurs obsess over their competition. What is my competition pricing thing out? What are they doing? You know, following their every move. And what they really should be doing is obsessing over their customer. Because even if you have the exact same product as your competitor, if you are better at satisfying and, you know, getting in bed with your customer and really understanding what they eat, how they think about things, what keeps them up at night, then it doesn't matter if your product is similar to the guy next door. You are going to win.
And that is so true. I mean, we recently did an incredible webinar on customer service too, giving it and getting it with my friend Simon, amazing, Simon Bailey. Very important, because if you don't live, breathe, and eat your customer, you're missing the boat.
Yep.
Okay, I loved when you said find your Dolores Huerta or Gloria Steinem or any of these women that you admire. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so that is actually a really specific story that has to do with Gloria, because so I'm involved with the Athena Film Festival, right? Connected to the Athena Center at Barnard. And at an event at the film festival, Gloria said that the reason that she loved Dolores and the reason that they had this long, long relationship that has now spanned over decades is because Dolores would call Gloria when she was super young. She was like in her 20s and she was just kind of figuring things out. And she would say, Gloria, I need you to fix X, Y, Z. I'm coming to New York, we're doing the great protests, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and I need you to basically clear the road and talk to the governor and da-da-da. And Gloria was like, who the hell does this woman think I am? She didn't have those connections. She had no ability in her mind, you know, to do all of these things that Dolores was asking for her to do. And yet what Gloria said was, until Dolores asked me, I didn't realize that I was capable of
But you know what's interesting? So let's, just for a moment, in case some of you don't know who Dolores Huerta is, Dolores Huerta is the woman that was she was at the same level as Cesar Chavez, and the two of them fought for the rights of the migrant workers. And Gloria Steinem, because so many young women tell me they don't know who Gloria Steinem is, started the women's movement. Ladies, all the rights we have today are because of Gloria Steinem. So Dolores Huerta called Gloria Steinem and asked her, do this and this and this for me, which shocked me when I read it in your book, because Latinas don't call and ask anybody to do anything. So it made me think this Dolores Huerta person is very different.
She's amazing.
I mean, who the heck does that?
She's a living legend.
I mean, I still get embarrassed to call people and ask them to do things for me.
No.
She asked Gloria Steinem, do this and this and this for me. And Gloria Steinem was like, but then she was like, okay, I guess I got to do it.
And my Dolores Huerta is Catherine Colbert. Catherine Colbert is the woman who argued Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992 in the Supreme Court and is credited with saving Roe v. Wade. And she did the same thing to me. She would come to me with these problems and with these ideas, and she would be like, fix it, do it, think about it. And I was like, who the hell does this woman think I am? But until somebody pushes you to those limits and expects maybe even more of you than you expect of yourself, then you don't even know what you're capable of. And so everyone needs to find your personal Dolores Huerta.
I love that. And I have to think about that, because I think even I learned something there, because I still think that I'm embarrassed to ask people to help me. Okay, I loved our Kardashian, the Kardashians. I mean, girl, tell us how to do that one.
So the thing about that, which it's sort of hilarious coming from somebody that doesn't watch much TV and know too much about popular culture. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to teach me more about them. But the thought there was influencer marketing, right? Yes. And so the thing here is like, okay, dumb influencer marketing is taking, say, your product and saying, well, my product is for women, let's say. It's for women, and it's makeup, and it's something that, you know, all women are gonna want. And so let me go to the Kardashians, who are women. Let me go to a YouTube model, you know, somebody who's like talking about makeup or whatever, or a swimsuit model, and let me have her promote my makeup product. But you're not realizing that, yes, that person might have millions of followers on YouTube, but what we know, for example, in the big celebrities is that 80% of them are men who just finished watching porn, right? So the question is, like, if you're going wide and you're going with somebody who has, let's say, millions of followers, but the majority of those followers are not your customer, then you're better off actually going with a smaller influencer, somebody that only has 100,000 followers, 30,000 followers, but they are people who are obsessed with makeup. They are people who are obsessed with whatever your product is. And so, yeah, it might not be the Kardashians that are promoting your work, but you're gonna get more accomplished and you're going to get more customers if you, again, focus less on the glitz and more on getting outcomes.
No, and I love in your book, and you're gonna have to read the book to get all this, but you give very specific advice of hacks, of how to get your product out there, and different resources that I even had never heard of. You say in the book, show me the receipts. But you know, I love receipts. Anybody that knows me knows I love accounting, so receipts are my middle name.
Yeah.
But you mean it in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, showing receipts means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The one that comes to mind for me is that, data and tracking your numbers, number one most important thing. I never want to hear a woman say, I'm not good at the numbers, I'm not good at the financials. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to be good enough to be dangerous. You have to know high level what's happening in your business. And for me, show me the receipts involves two things. It involves both knowing your numbers, but also knowing which are the right numbers. There was a case study, and it's actually in the Harvard Business School now, of a woman who basically, because the investors were pressuring her that her retail company had to get a certain number of traffic to her website, that's all she focused on. For like 2 years, she focused on driving traffic to her site, when that wasn't the most important number. For her, the most important number was conversion. It doesn't matter if 1 million people came to her website if one purchased a product. What she needed is customers. So she was focusing on the wrong numbers. And she really needed to focus not on how many people are visiting her site, but how many people of the ones that are visiting are buying on her site. That's what she cared about.
And this is very important because I think sometimes we do get caught up with the wrong numbers.
They're often called vanity metrics. And the last thing you want to do is focus your time, your energy, your precious hours of the day on vanity metrics. You want to be able to show not just all the receipts, but the right receipts.
You say in the book, we can create good companies that make money. So I think that combines what I think of mission and money, right? How do we combine our mission and our money?
Yep.
Talk about that.
So I love to tell stories about people who are just getting started, but I also believe that if you don't know where your destination is, right, who knows where you're going? And so the story that moves me most on this do good and make money one is one of our favorite entrepreneurs. It's the founders of Hanky Panky, which is it's a high-end lingerie company. It's been around for 40 years. They just had their 40th anniversary, made in the USA, which basically means wherever you are in the world, made wherever you're from, right? It means lower carbon footprint. It means good for the earth. And last November, on their 40th anniversary, they got 170 of their employees, all of them, together to celebrate the 40th anniversary. And to their surprise, the two founders came to that celebration and announced to every single employee in the company that they were giving the employees the company.
No,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
And so, to me, that is a perfect example of a company that has done good. They have, not just now, after 40 years, but all throughout, they've built a culture that is safe, that is creative, that is fun for everyone involved. They've made money. They are a very successful, highly profitable company. And now, in their final, right before sort of retirement gesture, they showed once and for all what it really, really means to both do good and make money. So there are 170 people who in some cases have worked for decades for this company who are now part owners of the company.
What a great way to end this moment. I mean, mission and money combined, and it is possible. Beyond proud of you. Leapfrog, the new revolution for women entrepreneurs. Don't miss it. We need to buy books from each other. We need to help each other. And this book really is incredible. Such an easy read, so much fun, and so informative. Very proud of you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Adelante.
Adelante.
Ladies, I hope you love this webinar with Nathalie Molina Nino and Leapfrog, her book, which I love. I want to thank Coca-Cola for helping us and being with us always in the 5x20 initiative to empower 5 million women by the year 2020 around the world and here in the United States. Thank you all. And I love to say to all of you, let's move it. Adelante.